Good day once again. We'll continue with our economics A level, chapter 9, market structures and the concentration ratios. So we're going to focus first on market structure. So when we talk about market structure, what does market structure imply? Market structure implies to different characteristics, different features of a market that makes firms to behave in a certain way. Market structures are the characteristics in a market that allows firms to behave in a certain way in the market. So we get to know. That means behaviors of firms in the market. So we get to know more while reading. Market structures. Market structures are the characteristic of a firm, of a market, which determines a firm's behavior. Economists emphasize a small number of main characteristics. So we call it market structure because it determines the way firms will behave in the market. That's why we call it a market structure. So what are the features of why do we say, oh, this industry is defined as this, that industry is defined as that? Why do we say these things? We say it because it is characterized with certain items. It is characterized with certain behavior. That's why we call it what we call it. So I wouldn't want to talk more about the kind of market structures we have. We'll get to know them while reading through. So we have different characteristics that entails or that makes a market what it is. So the first one, the number of firms in the market and their relative size. So the number of firms and how many firms are in that market and how big or small they are. That can also be a yardstick to determine or to say or to define the kind of market we are into. The number of firms that might enter the market and the ease or difficulty with which these new entrants might enter or exit. The extent to which goods in the market are similar, the extent to which all firms in the market share the same knowledge, the extent to which the actions of one firm will affect another firm. So we're going to take it one at a time. The first characteristic or the first feature that makes us to know the kind of market we are is, number one, the number of firms in the market and their relative size. The number of firms in an industry may vary from one to many. In Spain, couriers provide a national postal service for letter deliveries to households and is a single supplier. In agriculture, on the other hand, there are tens of thousands of farms supplying rice and carrots to the market in Sri Lanka. So here, there are two things here. The first one is a single supplier. When we talk about a single supplier, we're talking about a pure monopoly. So this is a monopoly. So a monopoly is a market structure that has only one supplier of goods or service in that industry. So the characteristic or the feature of this market is that it is a single supply. There's a single supplier in the market, and because there's a single supplier in the market, it is called a monopoly. That is the first one. In a market dominated by few large producers, and the second one here, before I go into this, the second one they said there are tens of thousands of farms supplying rice and carrots to the market. This is a perfect competition because in that market there are countless numbers of suppliers, countless numbers of customers. In a market dominated by a few large producers, the market structure is an oligopoly. So for a monopoly, it is a market structure where you have one supplier of goods or services. For oligopoly, we have few large firms dominating the industry. That's why we call it a monopoly. So here we're still talking about the size, the number of firms and the size in the market. So in the market, so the first thing is the number of firms, which is single. The number of firms is single. That makes it monopoly. The other one is few large firms dominating the industry. That is oligopoly. But the main characteristic is that most are small and relatively unimportant, while a few large firms produce most of the output in the industry. Like I said, oligopoly is a market structure where we have few large firms dominating the industry. In perfect competition or in a monopolistic competition, there are large numbers of small suppliers, none of which is large enough to dominate the market. So in a perfect or in a monopolistic competition, there are large numbers of small suppliers. They cannot dominate, unlike oligopoly. In oligopoly, few large firms dominate the market. But in monopolistic competition, there are large numbers of firms. They are small suppliers though, and they can never dominate the industry. That's why we call it monopolistic. They produce goods and services, but they cannot dominate the industry. That is monopolistic. The degree to which large firms dominate an industry is known as market concentration. So for market concentration, we're talking about the extent at which a firm dominates the market. That is what market concentration is about. I'm going to say it again. We call it market concentration based on the fact that it is the extent to which a large firm is able to dominate the market. That is market concentration. So this can be measured using, then for market concentration, we use the concentration ratio to measure the market concentration, which we can use in considering which we get to know through the market share. For market share, it is the market share is the total brand sale divided by the total brand sale divided by the total market sale multiplied by 100. So the dominance, the market concentration we get to know through each brand. So the brand that has the highest percentage when using the market share calculation is the one that is having the market concentration. So that is about the size and the number of firms in the market and its relative size. For size, it could be monopoly if it's a single supplier. It could be oligopoly if it is few large firms dominating the industry. It could be monopolistic if we have large numbers of small firms, but large numbers of small suppliers, but they cannot dominate the industry. Then that's about size and numbers of firms in the industry and relative size. The second one, the number of firms that might enter the market and the ease of difficulty with which these new entrants might enter or exit. Market structures are not only affected by the number of firms in an industry and their relative output, but also by the potential number of new entrants to the market. Firms in an industry where there are unlikely to be any new entrants may behave differently to firms in an industry where there are many strong potential competitors. Difficulties in entering the market is called barrier to entry. In some industries, there are also difficulties in leaving the market, and so this may become a barrier for a firm to enter the market in the first place. These are called barriers to exit. So, the second one is the extent at which it becomes easier or difficult. The rate at which it's easier or difficult to enter or to exit the market. That's another way to define a market structure. So what we're talking about here is that barriers to entry or exit. So the barrier to entry or the barrier to exit might make or mark or might define the market structure. So based on what they said here, new entrants, these are new businesses trying to come into the industry. If new businesses are unable to go into that industry, it means there are barriers to entry. And if it is also difficult for firms to leave the industry, these are what we call barriers to exit. So the barriers to exit might also bring about barrier to entry. So if a new firm understands that if it goes into that industry, for example, the educational industry, so a firm going into the